Business owners, you need to get the word out. Are you looking for brand exposure, business expansion, looking for new clients, hiring remotely for staff positions, or hiring new employees to open additional offices? Are you looking to advertise new projects, start business partnerships, or seeking new business opportunities? Do you need to highlight new upgrades, features, or products? Promote up-and-coming events, seminars, classes, or celebrate business anniversaries and achievements with the world? Now's the time to get your commercial featured on my show. Send me an email for package pricing, and let's grow and expand your business together.
How my journey began. It's graduation time. Family is very important to me, including my puppies. The Marine Corps played a huge role in my life and allowed me to be ambitious, inspiring, a mentor, and achieve all of my goals. As a financial expert, I've received multiple awards, done various events as a guest speaker all over the U.S. with my platform of creating healthy financial habits, along with having my own business, all leading up to my show. Come along for the journey.
Hello, Gems, and welcome to my very first episode. We are kicking off the show with a tribute to service members for the month of November. I'll be highlighting service members and we'll be getting to know them and their branch of service just a tiny bit better. So the first branch of service will be the Air Force. But before I introduce you to my very first guest, let me give you a few facts about the Air Force. The Air Force was established on September 18th, 1947, and it's our youngest branch of service. BMT, or Basic Military Training Boot Camp, is located on Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. There are over 130 career options to choose from in the Air Force. There are also over 2,200 Air Force chaplains and chaplain assistants between the active and reserve components. The Air Force Chaplains program was established to meet the needs of a service member regardless of their religion. And here's a fun fact. Air Force One isn't a plane. It's the radio call for any U.S. Air Force plane carrying the President of the United States. So stop calling the plane Air Force One. That's not what it's called. So now moving on to introduce you to my very first guest. Chaplain Pugh was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps and did honorable service between 1989 and 1996. He enlisted in the U.S. Air Force in 2014 and achieved his current rank of captain. He also serves as the chaplain for the Air Force, and he currently resides on the beautiful island of Honolulu, Hawaii. Welcome to the show, Shar. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful, and I'm so glad to be here. It's a joy.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, you're my first guest, so this means so much to me. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So why did you decide to make the transfer from the Marine Corps to the Air Force chaplain, to be an Air Force chaplain?
Story, I was, as the Marine Corps, in the Marine Corps, I was deployed on a float on the USS Squad, and I recall engaging in a military chaplain there on the ship. It was a little rough. And those that have gone on floats in the Marine Corps, we often understand how tough those floats can be. And comes a chaplain, and he's walking by and he's singing and he's talking and said, you know, hey, there's going to be service. And I said, service. So I went to the service. I loved it. Immediately fell in love with it. And I asked him the question, is this your chaplain? And that was an encounter with a chaplain that changed my life. Because I said, wow, I would love thought that many years later, that I would have had the opportunity to come and serve as a chaplain. So there was an Air Force chaplain recruiter who came to my seminary, and he talked about the Air Force Reserves and being a chaplain. And I said, absolutely, I would love to do something like that. And that was the beginning of this wonderful transition and journey.
Absolutely. It's amazing how the people that we're connected with in our life come into our life at the specific time to be influences in our life and to kind of help us along on the different paths. So kudos to that. That's definitely great. How have you been able to bridge the best of both services, the Marine Corps and the Air Force, into your role as a chaplain?
Well, one of the things that I really cherish is the foundation that the Marine Corps is the most challenging branch,
Yes.
and the Marine Corps instills discipline and good order.
Yes.
17, coming out of high school, and the Marine Corps instilled such a foundation in me that it really gave me that adapt and overcome to. That no matter what happens in life, that you adapt and overcome. Therefore, it is called to what I even do now in serving as a chaplain. And serving as a chaplain, it's a lot of challenges that we face on a daily. It just takes me back to my root of, hey, listen, there's nothing you can't adapt and overcome because of the foundation that was given to you. Part is being previously enlisted.
Yes.
It gives me a bridge with the airmen here because, of course, the challenges on the enlisted side,
Right.
and oftentimes a disconnect between officers and enlisted
Mhm.
is that sometimes the enlisted you can't relate to what it's like to wear stripes, and certainly I can relate to that, and I
Yes.
remember. So therefore, I'm able to build that bridge and show the authenticity of who I am in caring for them. So I'm extremely great time serving in the Marine Corps.
Absolutely. And I think, just to give my gems a little bit of basis about the chaplains in the services hold such an elite position because they literally can be the sounding board between enlisted or an officer and their chain of command. So what it is that you do and what you bring, being having the enlisted background and then the officer, that's definitely something a lot of other people don't have in their little toolbox of tools to bring to the table. So that's definitely something else that sets you apart from everybody else. So being that you have the best of both branches, the best of both worlds, what are some of the things that you miss about being a Marine, and how have you incorporated that into being in the Air Force? Because I know you got to miss some of those things about, the Marine Corps.
Yes, yes, there is. I think it goes in line with, and that is the structure. The Marine Corps is very structured as it relates to those instructions and do that order. It's not formulated to ask questions. The
Mhm.
Marine Corps is to where the culture of the Air Force is a little different. The culture in the Air Force, they create an environment of innovation, you to ask questions. So that was an adjustment for me
Yeah.
of you're being told to do something, and why are we doing it this way? And it took a minute for me to understand the culture and get accustomed to it. And I searched in the benefits of both cultures because with the Marine Corps being a more combative type unit,
Right.
have someone questioning their order and what they're told to do because there are certainly lives that can be at stake.
Right.
Where the Air Force, so their mission set is more about innovation. How can we constantly grow? How can we constantly improve and do things, but things I often strive to do? How can we have a both and meet in the middle and have the best of both worlds? So that's sometimes that I miss about the Marine Corps is that structure of, okay, you're told to do something, you just simply do it.
You just do it.
And it was certainly a culture shock for me.
Absolutely. Yes. That's definitely one of the things that I've noticed. You know, Marine Corps, we are just do it. That's just what we do. You just go and you don't ask any questions. And working alongside the Air Force, you do get to see a little bit of that innovation and that little bit more of a freedom to let's see how we can make things a little bit better. So I definitely agree with you on that, on how both of the branches are definitely great at what they do. It's just a different platform, and you being able to bridge those gaps, take a little bit of the Marine Corps and then take a little bit of the Air Force and combine those two to successfully just bring that to the people who come into your office. So again, something else that a lot of people don't have in their toolbox. Going on, what are some of the challenges you have faced in the Air Force?
Well, immediately what comes to mind is now into the Marine Corps. I was 17, and therefore I was gung ho, and that young virile body of mine, and oftentimes, now I'm a lot older, and therefore your mind says one thing, but your body reminds you.
Right.
So I'm learning more to balance it out. So that's probably one of the challenges I have to learn to. I'm extremely passionate about what I do, and there are times when I ride wisdom of caring for myself. There's just so many needs in serving as a chaplain, and I have to constantly understand, hey, you can't do it all. So that's a reminder for me that I certainly say that those are some of the greatest challenges.
Yes, and learning who we are as we do grow, as you say, you are seasoned with this. You know who you are and some of the things that work best for you and some of those challenging spots, and being able to recognize that and just say, hey, you know what? I know my limitations, but I also know how to improve on them. So also good tips to give to, the airmen and any other service members that you come in contact with. So speaking of services, what are some of the services you provide to military members as a chaplain?
Is the First Amendment right, the freedom of religion, the ability so that airmen, sales, DoD employees have the ability to exercise their freedom of religion. And what that looks like is it love about this that's so unique, that's very different than civilian ministry, is that you get to meet all different faith backgrounds, of different religious backgrounds. So therefore, you are here to support them, even though, and I may not be able to provide directly for them,
Right.
but I can provide for. And that's one of the things that we do. Their faith may look like. So I love that. And then one of the things that most people love about what to military chaplains is what is called privileged communication. Privileged communication is, in other words, 100% confidentiality.
Yes.
But it is absolutely privileged. And that means that as with anything that's shared with me, we are not mandatory reporters. Therefore, we cannot break that confidentiality Exception about that. People may be under the impression that, well, you have to report it if it's harm to self, harm to they're contemplating a crime. But for chaplains, that's not the case.
Right.
We have total confidentiality. We're able to provide to our military members, to their families, because our military members may be called upon to do something called upon to do.
Right.
And then they have to live with those things. So therefore, knowing that you have a person in a place that you can just dump, you can vent without fear of judgment, without fear of reprisal. It's a wonderful, wonderful, and that's something that we really try to stress to everyone, to take advantage of that resource that's available for you to.
Absolutely. That was just phenomenal. I've had the privilege of having more than one chaplain throughout my career. So I do know the importance of having the chaplain on base and close by to you, like you said, when you are dealing with those certain situations that you may not can talk to friends who are not in the military, or even some of the ones who are in the military that may not have experienced the same things as you do. And being able to do, like you said, open up and just have that confidentiality. And that is definitely one of the things that sets you apart from the civilian pastors and the clergy that are out in the public. So a lot of our gyms don't know this, but I have had the privilege of hearing Chaplain Pugh preach on one or more occasion, and I can tell you he is phenomenal. I'm happy that he's moving on in his career and he's in Hawaii, but my goodness, if he could be back in Delaware, that would be, just a little bit of me, just a little tiny bit of my selfishness. So how do you decide on what your next sermon should be?
After I'm done a message on Sunday, I come home, and as I'm winding down and just rest, it's the first thing that I do, and I'm praying and asking God for direction. I'm asking the Lord to give me and just simply use me. And so for the next few days, I just pray, and I don't open up. After a few days, I begin to open up scripture, and I'm always aware of what's happening around me.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks in different ways, and that may be through people, it may be through circumstances. So therefore, I'm always of what's happening, and is God speaking to me through that? So it may look like someone may say something to me,
Mm-hmm.
and it says, "Wow, that's something I've been reading or studying." Okay, I think that's where the Lord uh, in the next message,
Right.
and after committing it to prayer and really studying, then I'll finally and begin writing. But it's a very, very long and arduous process.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. You're definitely giving the best of you. It's not something that you take lightly or just throw it together at the last minute, like people may do when they're turning in a writing assignment. So definitely days and days go into this meditation and prayer and really listening to what God is speaking to you for your next sermon. So has there been one sermon that has impacted your congregation more so than any others and that has stood out to you or them the most?
I would say there's one that I shared it about watch your mouth, and on that one, we have words and the things that we say, because at times we can be so loving and caring,
Mm-hmm.
and then other times, in a moment's notice, we can be harsh and cruel and just bitter. bitter with what we say. And I just reminded people that we have to be careful about our words because words have power. You
Yes.
know, they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt. And it sounds nice,
Yeah,
but that's
definitely.
not church hurt.
Right.
And words pierce deeply. And sometimes I think that we forget that we may anger in the heat of the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and then we may apologize later, but the reality is the damage is done.
Mm-hmm.
What we can never take back what we said. We can apologize numerous times
Right.
over and over again, but we'll always remember, but you said this.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes in their mind, they're wondering, I wonder, is that how you really
Right.
feel? And then this person is always wondering, do you really feel that way?
You're
And
right.
and it can cause some damage for life because it's very, very difficult to forget something that's hurt,
Yes.
that what you've heard.
Definitely. That definitely sounds like a good sermon. So now I have to ask a little bit more about the sermon because now you piqued a little bit of my interest. So during this sermon, what are some of the things you gave to the congregation to kind of mend some of those damages their words may have done? Were there some steps or basically getting them to that healing process?
Certainly, the first thing is that we have to always admit what
Mm-hmm.
we've done. Sometimes we may not want to be quick to acknowledge that we were wrong,
Right.
and that's one of the first steps. In I apologize for what I said, for what I did, and there's sometimes you have to be very specific. People, their language of apology and the
Mm-hmm.
way that they receive apologies with authenticity is that they want you. I don't love you.
Right.
Then that person may need to hear, I apologize for saying to you that I don't love you.
Right, right.
This is what I meant to say. And this is why I did that. And I'm genuinely sorry. And these are control of my words, of my actions, of what I say. And that's the first step in that conversation of, listen, if I say something that is offensive to you, please bring it to my attention. Therefore, we can rectify it and minimize this damage, minimize things that are said and done. Intentional about who you're speaking to when you speak. One of the things that I often would remind married couples at that day, for most people, you were standing at the altar looking into the eyes of someone excited about sharing the rest of your life with.
Right,
And in that moment, you were just elated thinking about how, and then life starts to happen.
right.
And in doing life, we hit some rough patches, we hit some rough times. In those rough times, think back to that person
Mm.
that you stared into their eyes and that way that you felt, words accordingly. Don't say what you're feeling in the heat of the moment, but think through your words and know what I truly mean, not just at the moment, but is that what I really mean deep down in my heart? And that can mitigate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is definitely it was just healing, just even hearing that right now. And that is those moments that you share for couples, for anyone who's in that situation, because we've always met that first time when you meet someone and you have that warm and fuzzy feeling. So no matter where you are at Right. In the relationship, you can always go back to those warm and fuzzy feelings when basically you're in the honeymoon phases of things. So, reconnecting with that and saying, hey, this is why I'm here. This is why you chose me and I chose you, and remembering that. So that is definitely, definitely a good key. I love that. It sounds like a really good sermon that you did right there. What are your most cherished memories to date being a chaplain?
Cherished memories are sometimes the most difficult ones. And those are times when I'm really able to people during challenging times of their lives. And having served at Dover,
Right.
the mission there, and the mortuary, and those were some of the most difficult times
Right.
of life of one. This sailor, this soldier, this Marine, this airman, having given the ultimate sacrifice, and such a loss and hurt and broken and just wounded on the inside, and me being able to just a little bit of hope, an ounce of love that they can make it to the next moment.
Right.
There was a mother, and she said to me, she said, "Chaplain, I don't know how I can go on. I'm struggling. Say something to me because my faith is wavering."
Right.
And at that moment, I felt like, Lord, help me.
Right.
The Lord just gave me the words to say and share with her, and just to provide care and Jenny, thank you. You've given me enough that I can move on another day. And that's what I just reminded her. Yes, a moment at a time. So those are some of my most cherished memories. Seeing someone in a state of despair,
Right.
them later in a state of they're doing well and they're prospering.
Mhm.
I remember I had an airman come into the office, and she was really broken.
Right.
And then we talked and we talked and we talked, and this went on for getting an email from her,
Yeah.
probably about 2 years later, and she said, "I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you at a time when I was so broken, when I had no hope, when I was going to do something drastic,
Right.
and you is so wonderful. So thank you for being there with me through the darkest times of
Mhm.
my life." So those are the memory and words, and no amount of money, no amount of accolades can
Right.
ever substitute.
Absolutely. Speaking on your other sermon, how words are impactful. Words can both, like you said, bring peace and hope to the people that you speak them to. So being able to do that, I can definitely see how those are some of your most cherished memories. So moving along, if you could provide 3 tips to a young person wanting to join the Air Force, what would it be?
Well, I would say to them, research, do
Yes.
your research, and in doing your research, try to connect with someone that you're looking to do.
Right.
Because one of the things that you certainly want to know is, what is this job about that I'm going to do? I tell young people, a huge deciding factor on your time in the military and how much you enjoy it, or because that's what you're going to be doing the majority of the time.
Right.
And if you are miserable in the job, then you're going to, that's the bulk of what you do.
Right.
Number two, I would say be a team player. Understand
Mhm.
of supporting one another. The Air Force is huge on teamwork. So I would certainly say make sure looking that it's just not an island, that you really want to be a part of something greater,
Right.
to serve something great. Thirdly, I would say look forward to having the time of your life.
Yes.
I am loving life so. You'll hear a lot of airmen say, and when I go to them, I'll say, "Hey, how you doing today?" They say, "Sir, I'm living the dream. I'm living the dream." And one of the things that I often tell them, I say, "Are you really living the dream?" And they say, "Yes, sir." Sometimes that dream might start to feel like a nightmare, and if it does, make sure you come and see me. But I am so elated in what I'm doing and where I'm serving, and get with people all over the world in different spheres of life, and to be able to walk with them
Right.
through life, and nothing that I'd rather do than what I'm doing now.
Absolutely. That sounds so amazing. Those three bits and pieces of advice. I'm sure there's many of people out there who are going to just hold on to that and really let it marinate. So this is the month of December, Thanksgiving and thankfulness. I can't leave our segment without some type of thankfulness and gratefulness. So what is one thing that you are most thankful for? You know, we've had a lot going on in the pandemic, and people's lives has been turned upside down, whether it's theirs or someone they know, love, and care about. So what is one thing that you are most thankful for?
Because by no means could I serve the way that I serve and do what I do without family.
Mhm.
You understand the sacrifices that you're called to make, but also you're not just the only one serving.
Right.
Your family also, because when you're called upon to deploy, to go down range, it's your family that's right to work those shifts works. It's your family that goes without you. When you have to miss birthdays and
Mhm.
holidays, anniversaries. So I am so grateful for family. One of the things I often remind my brother and sisters in arms is for them all.
Mhm.
And we have to make sure we value, cherish, and pour into who are there with us when we take this uniform off. When we get to retirement and we look on that front row, so therefore, that is what I am extremely thankful for. I'm enjoying the journey,
Yes.
but I'm also with my family to ensure that they're enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. And what is one thing you think people should focus on most when it comes to being grateful and acknowledging their blessings?
I would just say to know
Yeah.
that we're blessed. There are so many things in this world that we can complain about. This is wrong and that is wrong, and I don't like this and I don't like that. But I would say look at the world through a different lens.
Hmm.
Life could be worse.
Yeah, actually,
Things could
yes.
be worse.
Yes.
I'm grateful that it is as well as it is.
Yes.
Uh, the fact that I'm still alive
Hmm.
means that there's a possibility that today can be a better day.
Right.
There are people who have a better day tomorrow because their time is up. But as long as we are walking this earth, there is a or tomorrow can be a better day.
Yeah.
So be thankful for the moment. Be thankful and grateful. Hear the old Latin phrase "carpe diem," seize the day. And then there's "carpe de momente," seize the moment.
Yes.
because all it takes is a moment
Right.
that can change your life.
That can change your life. Wonderful words. And I want all of my guests on my show, starting with you, to always leave a personal inspiration quote that you would like to leave us with. What is one inspirational quote that you have for us? I know you got one.
Live passionately, love purposefully,
yes,
and learn perpetually.
I love it.
That and every day that you wake up, make sure that you are passionate about life and that you are giving it your all. Last day. So live with passion because we only get to do life one time. And then we choose to love and not hate. There's enough hate going around in the world, but love on purpose, though love hurts, but still choose to love. And then learn perpetually. Always be a forever learner. Yes. I like to say that the day we stop learning is the day we stop growing.
Yes.
The day we start dying. So always, there's always something to learn. Yes. And we can learn something from everybody.
Everyone. Absolutely. Definitely an inspirational quote. Chaplain Pugh, thank you so much for coming on the show and being part of the journey.
I am so honored to be here and appreciate you. I appreciate you for what that you're sharing with people and just who you are in life. And I just it was an honor and in your audience, you don't hesitate to let me know.
I shall. So, Gems, creating healthy habits is a lifelong commitment. Remember, without change, there be no butterflies. Changing habits, changing lives, and changing futures is all up to you. Until next time, take care.
And what else? That's it. I'm an asshole. It's got to be more to it.
And there always is more behind the story. I mean, you can't just come out and just say you're an asshole without giving a reason why, because there's always two sides to the story. Like, maybe you don't think you're an asshole.